The forest stood guard, a silent, watchful sentinel. Within its depths, Graywood House lay forgotten. The trees pressed close, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching out. Sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. A shroud of silence hung heavy, broken only by the rustle of unseen creatures. The path to the house was overgrown and treacherous. Twisted roots snaked across the path like grasping claws. Thorns tore at clothing, eager for a taste of blood. The forest seemed to whisper warnings, urging visitors to turn back. But there was an allure to the place, a siren song that drew the curious and the foolish alike. The house itself was a study in decay. The once grand Victorian structure now sagged beneath the weight of time and neglect. The paint peeled from its walls like shedding skin. Windows stared out like empty eyes, their glass long since shattered. The roof was a mosaic of missing shingles, open to the elements. It was a place where hope went to die. The locals knew the stories. They whispered them in hushed tones. Graywood House, they said, was cursed. It had been since the days of Mr. Rookwood. He was a man of wealth and power. He was also a man consumed by darkness. Mr. Rookwood had been obsessed with cheating death. He pored over ancient texts, seeking a way to unlock the secrets of immortality. He consulted with mystics and occultists, offering them vast fortunes for their knowledge. His search led him down a dark path. He delved into forbidden lore, unearthing rituals that should have remained buried. He believed he had found the key to eternal life. He was wrong. On the night of the summer solstice, Mr. Rookwood gathered his followers in the house. The air crackled with anticipation and dread. A sense of wrongness permeated the air. The ritual he planned was a dangerous one, a forbidden dance with forces beyond human comprehension. He had assembled the necessary components over many years. Rare herbs and artifacts of power were arranged with meticulous care. A human sacrifice. A young woman from the village lay bound and gagged on the altar. Her eyes were wide with terror. As Mr. Rookwood began to chant, the room grew cold. Shadows danced in the flickering candlelight. The air grew thick and oppressive, making it difficult to breathe. The ritual reached its climax. A blinding flash of light erupted, followed by an ear-splitting shriek. Then, silence. When the villagers arrived the next morning, they found the house in ruins. The interior was a scene of chaos. Furniture was overturned and blood stained the walls. Of Mr. Rookwood and his followers, there was no sign. The young woman, however, was gone. The house stood empty after that. No one dared to live there. Some whispered that the ritual had gone horribly wrong, trapping Mr. Rookwood and his followers in a realm of eternal torment. Others claimed that the house itself was now a conduit to the other side, a place where the veil between life and death was thin. Years turned into decades. The legend of Graywood House grew. It became a local ghost story, a tale told to frighten children. But some stories have a way of becoming real, especially in the dead of night.
We stumbled upon Graywood House just before nightfall. We were lost and weary, our car having broken down miles back.
The forest had an unsettling stillness, but we were too tired to care.
The house, despite its dilapidated state, offered shelter.
The front door creaked open on rusted hinges as if inviting them inside.
We hesitated for a moment, a sense of foreboding washing over us.
But the approaching darkness and the chill night air spurred us on.
Inside, the house was dark and silent. Dust covered every surface, and cobwebs hung like macabre decorations. The air was heavy with the smell of dampness and decay. It was the kind of place that felt forgotten by time, shrouded in an almost tangible sense of sadness.
They explored the house, their footsteps echoing eerily in the silence. Each room seemed to hold its breath as if waiting for them to leave. The furniture was draped in white sheets, giving the impression of ghosts frozen in time. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It was as if unseen eyes followed our every move. I felt a cold draft on my skin, despite the stillness of the air. I could have sworn I heard whispers coming from the walls, but when I turned to look, there was nothing there.
The others tried to remain positive. We built a fire in the old fireplace, its flickering light casting dancing shadows on the walls. We shared stories and laughter, trying to ignore the growing sense of unease that permeated the house. But even our cheer felt forced, a fragile defense against the encroaching darkness.
As the night wore on, the events at Graywood House took a sinister turn. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. The shadows seemed to move on their own, twisting and contorting into grotesque shapes.
One of the group, a young man named Mark, claimed to have seen a figure standing at the end of the hallway. He described a tall, gaunt man with piercing eyes that seemed to burn with an infernal light. The others dismissed it as a trick of the light, but Mark was insistent. He had seen something.
Then the objects began to move. A book flew across the room, slamming into the wall with a loud bang. A vase toppled off a table, shattering on the floor. The temperature plummeted and a cold wind seemed to whip through the house. We huddled together, our faces pale with terror.
Panic set in. They had to get out of the house. They raced towards the front door, but it wouldn't budge. It was as if something was holding it shut. They pounded on the wood, their screams echoing in the night. They tried the windows, but they were nailed shut. They were trapped. The house was alive and it was toying with them.
I could feel my sanity slipping away. I closed my eyes, wishing for it all to be a nightmare.
Suddenly, the front door swung open. Standing there was the figure Mark had described. His eyes glowed with an evil light. He smiled, a slow, cruel stretching of his lips.
"You are mine now," he hissed.
The next morning, the sun rose on an empty house. The forest stood silent, its secrets kept safe beneath the canopy of leaves. The locals found the group's car abandoned on the side of the road, but there was no sign of Claire or her friends. Some say that Claire and her friends are still trapped in Graywood House, their souls forever bound to the cursed place. Others say that they were claimed by the darkness, their bodies never to be found. The truth remains a mystery. But one thing is for sure, Graywood House still stands, a testament to the darkness that can lie hidden beneath a veneer of normalcy. And the forest surrounding it? It still whispers its secrets to those who dare to listen. The story of Graywood House serves as a chilling reminder that some doors are best left unopened and some places are best left undisturbed.